Here's 5 things you can use lambda function for. First is to process big files. If you have a huge file that's sitting on S3 bucket and you need to process it, manipulate it, cut it, or do anything with it, you can invoke a lambda function which will get the file from the S3 bucket, manipulate it, and then re-upload it. Second way you can use lambda function is as a middleman. Imagine you need to send 1000 requests to an API. Obviously, you're not going to do that in your main server. It's going to slow down the application. What you can do is make a single call to the lambda function, which then sends 1000 requests and gets the data, and then it can return the data. Now, the third way you can use lambda function is to run database hungry queries that are really heavy, that are going to eat a lot of memory in your server. You can run the query on RDS, which is probably not going to do a lot of problems initially, but once you have the data and you need to manipulate that data, especially if it's a lot of data, it's going to eat a lot of resources. So you can do that part in lambda function. Fourth, you can use lambda function as a notification listener service. So if you have a payment gateway that is expected to return some information at some point, you don't know when, you can create an API gateway on Amazon, hook it up with lambda, and the lambda can just sit there and listen. Whenever the payment gateway calls that API, the lambda function can do what it needs to do. Fifth thing you can do is pretty simple. You can use it as authentication. So you can query the database, match the username and password, and return a bearer token to the user.